There's no better time to get into precious metals than right now. Markets are unstable, systems are failing, and collapse isn't a theory, it's a countdown. That's why smart patriots are turning to tangible assets like gold and silver. Real value you can hold in your hands. Verity Metals is here to help you protect what matters most. Whether you're stacking for the first time or securing your long-term wealth, Matt Geiger will guide you every step of the way. Text Matt at 480-717-9081 or visit veritymetals.com. Be sure to tell him which Patriot channel you saw this on. He'll take care of you. Protect your legacy. Secure your future. Verity Metals. Truth you can hold.
Hello and welcome to this special edition of SBG. We are going all in on chemtrails. Chemtrails. It's madness out there for sure, folks. It doesn't, whatever's going on, most cities are reporting that they're seeing chemtrails, so that should be a concern at the least. While you're here, how about you do a like, give us a share, maybe a follow. All that good stuff helps with the algorithms that we know we get jacked around, and we will be jacked on algorithms on this show. I'm not manifesting it. It's just something that we know when we talk about chemtrails. And real quick, just so you know, if you still think chemtrails are fake, ask yourself why there are actual states and congressmen that are trying to outlaw them. That should give you a clue what's going on. So guess what? I have an amazing person, and a person I would call a friend for sure here. He's the reason why I'm wearing a collared shirt today, and I did my hair because he's the man, he's the myth, he's a legend, and he will bring it in regards to chemtrail. Let me introduce you to my friend, Lance Schuttler.
Hey, Lewis, thanks for having me.
It's awesome to have you, brother. How you doing?
I'm great. How about you?
Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I love the red and blue combo we've got. We clearly planned it out.
Exactly. Like Lance and I call each other every time we go on a show together.
We're bringing the lightning and the thunder, Lewis, and we've talked about this on a show, I think 2 or 3 years ago. People can look this up. Lightning, when it's above a certain point, somewhere in the sky. I don't have the technical terms, you guys. Sorry for this, but the light involved is red and blue, and then when it crosses down, it makes that white light. So it's like it's the voltage effect, and that's what we're doing. We're going to bring truth to this.
I love it. I love it. How you been doing, my friend?
Good. Things are, good overall, just pushing forward. I'm in the same boat with everyone, wishing, hoping, and praying that things would be happening faster, that we'd be seeing public arrest for blatant criminals, but soon enough, all in divine and God's timing.
Yeah, it's tough because part of me wants to see it immediately, right? And then the other part of me understands that it has to be done right because these criminals will find every potential loophole and corrupt judge to get out of whatever they need to do. So I think it's maybe more important that the FBI and Cash Patel and Bondi and all of them and Bongino start just line up the information so perfectly and deliver it so perfectly that there will be no question of guilt whatsoever. At least in the eye of the public. But at most, if we can start getting these, and I do think there's some arrests going on in the background and things. I've got direct reports from somebody that's completely in the know that almost 1,000 kids were saved by Navy SEALs from human trafficking. So that type of stuff is going on. There's pedophilia takedown after takedown. Yesterday, I thought it was really, really cool. John Rich did an interview with a guy from the federal government, from Department of Homeland Security, literally teaching people what they're doing to find pedophiles and expose them, and it was amazing. It went live. President Trump retweeted it. What do you say? Re-exed it? Who knows what you say on X anymore? But that thing's going to go viral. So I think things are happening, but not fast enough for me, you, and I'm sure most of our audience. But it seems like patience is definitely a virtue here.
Yes, definitely. And Diddy's trial is coming up publicly soon, so that's going to definitely keep opening up the doors for people. That's kind of taken a back burner seat as of recent in some ways, but that's going to come back up, and that's where we all want it to go, because that's what it's going to do to open the door to shine the full light on the situation.
Yeah.
And Lewis, so before we get into this, and it relates, is my question for you then is, who do you think is going to be the first arrest, since we both had said at one point that we thought the Pope might be the first arrest publicly to shock the world. I think we both have also selected the other person as well. I know we have, but where do you stand right now on that? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, maybe JD Vance just held the Pope accountable because he died the next day. So who knows? Although I don't think that was the real Pope. I think that one was an actor. To tell you the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
So but we're talking about first public arrest.
Yes.
I'm leaning towards Fauci. I really am, because if you think, I think there's now there's dozens of countries that have already indicted him. Um, some countries are asking to extradite him. Some are just waiting him to fly, and Interpol can pick him up. So it's going to be it's very very interesting. He may be. They're setting it up as if he will be. So I mean, if I go with the Occam's razor theory, I would say Fauci will be the first arrest. But they do say, I believe, though, it's supposed to shock the world, right? So if that's the case, I don't think Fauci would really shock the world. What do you think?
It's a good point. I mean, now, because I thought it was going to be the Pope to shock the world, um, Fauci does make sense. He's the biggest name left really on the board. Um, I come back to also Podesta as a possibility because of the Post, and they reference that pretty like
Yep.
pointedly. So I don't know. I'd say it's between those two, honestly, Podesta and Fauci, and they're so closely related in what they've done that, I mean, they're going to connect right away, anyways.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I'll take one though. How about you?
Yeah.
Just give me one right now. Just give me one, and I'll be happy. So I have a thread coming out that is unequivocally proves that Trump and Q are connected, and that Q was never meant trust the plan to be sitting on your couch. It always meant we are the people have to be involved. I mean, it's without a shadow of a doubt. I prove it. The thread is coming out probably Tuesday, I believe. I'm finishing touches on it now, and I think that's going to knock some people's socks off, and it's going to upset a bunch of hopium sellers too, because they've not been selling the truth. But we know how that goes.
Yep. I love it, Lewis. That's great. Can't wait to see it.
Cool. You want to get into chemtrails?
Yeah. So kind of leading things off, because we're going to get into metals and the chemtrails and the nanoparticulates that they're doing. I wanted to share one cool thing that kind of kicks it off. It's not really related to chemtrails per se, but it's definitely something positive and important that I know that people will appreciate. Lewis, can you see those?
Yep.
Okay, so the Florida House of Reps just passed HB 999, which designates gold and silver as legal tender in Florida. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but the House passed it. If the Senate passes today, then it would allow us Floridians to use gold and silver for transactions. Aims to reduce reliance on the quote federal currency, protect against instability. But This is awesome. We're now in Taurus season, astrologically. If we're looking at the 12 month calendar, the fake one, Lewis. Taurus, all about earth elements, gold, silver, money, abundance, food, all the stuff, the things happening with the FDA. That's great. Um, but like I've talked about, and like we've talked about, Lewis, there needs to be um, more action. Um, Lewis, okay, sorry, it was lagging a little bit. Um, Needs to be more action, and I'll get into this with the chemtrails. But I think these agencies right now, kind of like coming back to what we talked about, we know that there is definitely a plan and they're following it to a T, and it's day by day and it's not overnight. These agencies, as we've talked about and we know, they're being used in dual ways where the FDA is a perfect example. So yesterday, they come out or the day before and talk about how they're banning, some of the petroleum-based food dyes. That's obviously a great thing, a great start. Way more needs to be done. We all know that. But they're using these agencies as the trust figure to do some of these positive things while they're still in
Mhm.
place.
Mhm.
And then I think that they're also going to use these agencies and bring them down in on themselves for what they have done. Because yes, it's great that the FDA is wanting to take some steps, and they're clearing out pharma execs from being on decision making policies, things like that. But what about all the people who have been murdered by the FDA, like
Mhm.
as hitmen? What about all of the companies that have suffered, the people that have suffered for what the FDA has done to them, all the patients in the hospitals, the vaccines of what they did and their role in 2020 and the years around that? Um, I don't really care. It's great about the food dyes and some of these like surface level things, but we need to get to the good stuff, which is making sure none of that crap ever happens again, holding people accountable and cleaning it all out. I personally don't want to see a reformed FDA. I want to see a completely abolished FDA with
Mhm.
a new system set up that does adhere to some of the good principles within, which is, keeping our foods actually safe, actually doing real science to help people on the planet. But those agencies, for what they've done, there's no rebuilding them or redoing them. They need to all go, especially the ones that have been involved in these mass crimes against us.
Yeah, I agree. I see a future where there's going to be uh, independent certified companies to give certifications based on the quality of a food, the quality of a supplement, so on and so forth. That they'll be completely autonomous. They can't be bought off, right? And we the people will look for, hey, is this supplement certified? This is certified good, healthy, great stuff by an independent company. And there's a way you and I can talk offline of how you can submit to these companies and they won't even know what they're certifying and not, so the people within them can't get paid off, right? Um, I believe there's a way that can be done. So I see independently, we the people are going to be controlling the certifications of the great products that are going to be out there. So if people really want to know if it's good or not, they just go, okay, does it have a seal of approval from? Okay, it does. We're good to go. So um, there has to be protections in there and some anonymity to keep the people that work there paid off. But I think it can be done, which would be really cool.
Yep, absolutely. And it's so exciting, what is happening and where we're going with all of it.
I want to step backwards because you showed a great screen on HB 999, to me, the whole Rothschild system was a satanic system of inversion, anyways, of money. And these are the money changers, and they know how to rip you off, and so on and so forth. I think it's interesting that it's called what's going to give the power back to the people. It's called HB 999, which is an inversion of 666. So, and I believe the good guys are playing with numbers just like the bad guys do. The difference is we're inverting all their stuff and really taking it to them. So this may be a slap in their face at the same time. I don't know.
I love it, Lewis. I love it. And, with the whole um, Pope and fake Pope and fake Klaus Schwab stepping down on the same day. So I know there's a couple different viewpoints. One is that the cabal is still in control and they're running out and playing out their rituals with their numbers and their days and all that. With Rome going back to that, um, we can of course see that's a possibility. But I think what's happening is really just what you said, is that it's actually an inversion of what's taking place. So the good guys are still doing that and allow that, like playing that out. But instead of, okay, the cabal then takes another like quantum leap into their power on that day, like they would have planned most likely to do. It's the snake bit its tail and it's closed in on itself and it's dissolved. So like
Yeah.
we're in like truly the new age of like Babylon has fallen and it's done and gone. And I know you talked about this. Uh, Trump made that tweet hours before, or the truth hours before. He who has the gold makes the rules,
Mhm.
setting the stage for where we're going.
Yeah, and I think it's fascinating. There was we kind of knew that they would start eating their own. Great example. So Schwab, uh, I'm sorry, Klaus Schwab resigned from the WEF, right? And then he tried to get right back in there, and they didn't let him in the door yesterday. And he was just supposedly, that's the story, that he went to go pick up paperwork or visit somebody who knows what he went to do, and they're like, "Sorry, you can't come in." That would be a trip. The guy taking over the WEF is, in my opinion, is about as evil as they come, but that may be a calm. He's one of the controllers of Nestle, and if anybody ever studies Nestle, and as I've said many times, all roads lead back to Switzerland. Go investigate Nestle in Switzerland, and you will find out there's some evilness going on there. And this guy, which by the way, he has one of his eyes are black, which is really weird, right? Happens to be going in there. Could be a body double, don't know. But to me, it's another calm for us to look at. So I don't think that's a negative thing. I think it's a positive thing. People are running around fear porn with this guy going in there. I think he's an actor, but this is just my opinion at this point.
I agree, Lewis. That they don't have the power they once had.
No, and they're eating their own, so that's good. Let's watch.
Yeah, exactly. We're enjoying the show. So something you had mentioned this earlier, and I want to bring this up and show it. Um, so this post is from a little bit ago, but it's got a good little look on it. 31 different states, and I believe it's now up to 35 or 33. Lewis, do you know exactly?
I don't.
Okay, it's over 30. Different states are now attempting to pass legislation banning weather modification, aka geoengineering, aka chemtrails.
But I thought that stuff didn't exist.
Um,
It's true. It's crazy, right? We were hearing from the normies for the last 5 years that this we're crazy. Their chemtrails don't exist, geoengineering doesn't exist, right? I'm sure it doesn't, but you have over 30 states that are gonna ban it. Why? I just they're just curious. Why would they ban it? So that's great news, by the way.
yes, absolutely. And I actually dropped this um, in a car ride yesterday. I was riding with a few people, and I knew one of the persons or one of the people in the car, and the other I didn't know where they stood on things, and I wasn't even like trying to be political or anything. But my friend brought up, he's like, "Man, they're spraying here worse than out where he lives," and I said, "Yeah." I said, it's too bad." I said, "But the good news is that there's 33, 35 states that are now trying to pass legislation saying that they want to stop the chemtrail spraying and the geoengineering." And I said it just like that, um, to hopefully, if the other person in the car wasn't aware, that it kind of helps shine some light.
Exactly.
Yep,
I
and it
l
tells
I
them
love
like,
dropping those type of seeds, actually. Those are some of my favorite seeds to drop like that.
yes, and you can't get more mainstream than the states slash the government itself saying, "Hey, we want to look into stop doing this." So they're it's beyond admission that they know what's going on. It's like it's obvious. Like if they're bringing this up, like, okay, yeah, it's happening. There's no doubt. So that's something that I think is good info that people can use. And please take it and spread it everywhere. Tell people, like, hey, these states are actually now trying to stop the geoengineering, the chemtrail spraying, everything they've been doing, weather modification. Use those terms, spread that info, and it definitely is going to help wake people up. Because I mean, Lewis, like, if you would hear, if we were just sitting here and we didn't believe in this, and we're like, okay, those are just conspiracy theories, but then someone says, yeah, there's like 35 states who are now trying to pass legislation trying to ban this.
Mm-hmm.
That is going to catch people's ear, and they're going to be like, wait,
Yeah.
What?
So I've been having fun on Grok while you were talking because I battle with Grok a lot. I have, and I've you would not believe how many times I've gotten Grok to change its opinion based on things that it said itself. So here's a great idea. I mean, great example. So I was curious which states exactly were working on banning weather modifications, right? So states that already have active legislation, as we know, is Tennessee and Florida and Iowa and Kentucky and Arizona, Alabama, Pennsylvania. Those all have it. Now, what do they all have in common? All of those are conservative states. I don't think that's an accident, right? Then it says other states that have proposed or stalled bills: Minnesota, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, South Dakota, Illinois, North Dakota, Mississippi, South Carolina, Utah, Wyoming, Idaho, Indiana, Montana, Jersey, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Texas, Vermont, West Virginia, Missouri, and Maine. All right. Here's what's so funny, though. It says that all of these bills are, yes, looking to get rid of chemtrails and geoengineering. And then underneath it, it says the bills are often driven by debunked chemtrail theory, which mistakes contrails for chemtrails, which is it's a conspiracy. It says it's a chemtrail conspiracy right here, and it says geoengineering is also a conspiracy, yet unrelated to chemtrails. It's hilarious that the narrative that and then I what I would normally do, but I don't have time, is I would fight with Grok, and I would say right here, I'd say, hey Grok, uh, you just said this. So are you saying that these 30 plus states are all proposing a conspiracy? Is that what you're saying? Is that they want to ban a conspiracy? I'm not quite sure. And then you wouldn't believe how many times come back. Well, you do have a point, but here's where I was going. So this AI is trained to try to justify it. I had so much fun live using it on with Bruce one time in regards to the Holocaust, right? And I got it to admit that no, there's not 6 million. We can't even prove 1 million people were killed. And then I got them to admit that there's over 6 million that were killed in the Bolshevik Revolution. And why wouldn't that be a more important story than the Holocaust? And I almost thought it was going to self-destruct because it started to admit it. And then so many times I found math issues, and I've had it admit, you're right. You're right. The math is incorrect. Let me recorrect that. It's hilarious how these AIs work, right? And I know Elon Musk probably doesn't want me to talk about this, but the reality is, guys, you can absolutely won't change the mind, but change the data that it's perceiving. And why that's important for this conversation, Lance, is because perception versus reality is really, really important. And what these AIs are doing, these AIs that scrub the internet, is they're getting their perception based on the false information that's already portrayed out there. So if 15 websites say chemtrails are a conspiracy theory and two say it's not, it's predominantly going to say as if it's fact. And this is a key. Even though it's perception, it's going to say as fact that chemtrails are conspiracy.
Yep.
So I think it's important. We can use them to our advantage, but if it's not resonating with common sense, you actually can fight with these AIs and they'll come around to your point of view when you can show facts. It's the funniest thing ever.
That's awesome, Lewis. And we need to be doing that because we can't just accept the answers that they're giving out.
Right. And I said, but let me explain to you where you're flawed, Grok. And you're like, okay, where am I flawed? Right. And I go, here's why. Because I've got you to agree to three things today, yet you will completely forget this conversation. You scrub it, right? And it doesn't go in to repairing the overall issue. And Grok said, that's a really good point. I'm going to send this post to the authorities that built Grok. I'm like,
Wow.
interesting. So now that's what I'm doing. When I make a point, I go, make sure you send this to your controllers, right? I have fun with it. And sure enough, it says, can't do that, or yes, this one I will do. So we can have some influence that we think we may not have, guys, on this AI. And ultimately, I was the one saying, I'm not going to engage with these AIs. I'm not interested. And then finally I said, you know what? The writing's on the wall. The AIs are coming wherever you want it or not. What we need to do is now we need to jump all in and make sure that we are monitoring them, pushing them in the right direction, and have good people in the AI industry programming these things. Because if there's ever a battle, I'm hoping it won't be AI against human, it'll be AI against AI, and we're controlling the good one. That's so I believe we should be proactive in regards to that, not run from it anymore. So I've actually changed my tune on that.
I love it, Lewis. That's awesome. Shifting the AI one person at a time.
You have to, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, so, okay, we were talking about Florida, and this goes into the chemtrails as well. So, um, okay, kind of what we were just showing. I'll just mention it again. So, these states use this information. Uh, Anyone who's listening, pass this on, because this, I think, is a huge mind flip for people if they hear it. That
Mhm,
there are
mhm.
states actually trying to stop weather modification. So it's an admission that not only is it happening, they're very well aware it's happening. Um, so then this just happened. Let's see, I think this was just early April. So Florida makes history banning weather modification in the state, passing their bill HB 477 in a unanimous, you guessed it, Lewis, 17-0 vote.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
uh, I'll just read one little thing. I'm not here to make, this is coming from one of the gentlemen speaking. I'm not here to make you believe chemtrails exist. Uh, and then this person is saying, but it does. And they've been spraying harmful chemicals and heavy metals on us, our food, our crops, and it causes major health issues. Absolutely. So the bill goes through this, what they're looking at, clouds, ending cloud seeding, um, all sorts of things. So that's pretty incredible. Good news happening there. Some people might have seen how Mike Adams, health ranger, he collected some samples from some different plants here in Florida and tested it, basically the chemtrail spraying, and found all sorts of different chemicals in there. So it's pretty recent. And then Dr. Jane Ruby, who he's working with, she's posting some things. This was just yesterday. New life form now growing from the incubated chemtrails fallout, digital ferns and nanoscale structures.
Ooh, well,
Uh,
that's not good.
yeah, crazy stuff. So um, that's one thing. And then um, Mike Adams said this too. A lot of people have probably seen this in the past day or so. Insane U.S. or U.K. government is now engaged in terraforming operations to dim the sun, destroy crops, cause worldwide vitamin D deficiency diseases, and destroy human civilization. The UK government is run by satanic pedo reptilian type people. Absolutely. So they're talking about this. I'll come back to this. This is on Gateway Pundit. So, crazed scientists to start dimming the sun to prevent climate change, planning for full weather control by 2035. Um, that's not going to happen, but I think, like we've talked about, Lewis, a lot of this they have to allow some of these things to keep playing out, and this is going to be one of the big things when it really dawns on people, those that have been sleeping, like, yes, they have literally been spraying all sorts of poisons. Just
Mhm.
call it loosely because it's so much more than just poison. This is betrayal on every level. Um, Poisoning us, poisoning our food and water. They're doing this. They've been very sophisticated with it. They're, putting images in the sky, all the stuff that we know. But when that dawns on people even more, and then tying into the sun, the source of life on this planet on a physical level, uh, it still has to keep hitting people. Like, yes, you guys, these people literally are insane, where they're trying to block out the light from the sun. And they've been trying to do that, as we know, and they have been, and they've been creating their big projects like the solar simulator, all those sorts of things. But the point being, it's happening in front of us. People are seeing it more and more. Thankfully, we're putting a stop to it where we can. And just conversations like this is part of how that happens.
Yeah, and even from an anecdotal evidence. So I live in Southern California. As people know, in normal weather, it's sunny like 300 plus days out of the year, right? A few days of rain. That's generally how it works. Um, you may get some rain in April. April showers, spring May flowers, blah blah blah, but not very much, anyways. And you do have some June gloom, some of it. Now, but that's the worst case scenario. I can tell you unequivocally through February, March, and April to at this moment right now, we start either with one or two things. We start with, like we have the last 3 days, the whole sky is completely gray, completely gray. It won't rain, it won't do anything. It's just gray as gray can be. Or we start with a blue sky, and within hours, you see tons of contrails checkered, boarded all over. And then you'll see where they start to cross that cloud. You can actually see now, and I actually did a video on this. You can see the clouds forming right where the contrails are really targeting. And then within a couple hours, the whole sky is gray again. So we're seeing it in real time now. I don't know how anybody can't see it. And if anybody's lived in Southern California, this is just not the weather that we ever have. So it's just so obvious. And I'm getting reports every time I mention chemtrails. You would not believe the emails, the text message, the chat, the comments start to blow up. I have them here. We have them here. We have them here. Oh, it was crazy today. It was the worst it's ever been here, all over the country. And even in places where they've stopped it, people are still complaining that it's there, even when there's been some a bill that's gone through. So I think they're waiting for people to prosecute them.
Yep. Yep. And that needs to come ASAP.
Yep, and it's all about control for them. Now and I don't do fear porn, but I have a huge concern, and I wonder if there's a correlation. So, two things we know. We know that chemtrails have been increasing drastically over the last year. I think that's without a shadow of a doubt. Most people can report that if they have chemtrails in their area, that is more than they've ever seen. Two, the bee population is dropping dramatically. I'm really concerned that there could be a correlation there because, as you know, probably better than anybody, is where the bee goes is where we go.
Yep. Exactly. They are psychopaths.
You think there could be a correlation there? Because I don't think
Definitely.
bees are going to react very well to aluminum.
No, 100%. And that's clearly any sort of model that they've built out. And, they're experts on this, and they're fanatical experts on mapping out and building out everything they've done. They're very well aware of the importance of the bees and how to do that in a way to where it's as least perceivable by us humans as possible. Don't put any focus on it. Pretend that the bee isn't even there. That isn't even a major part of this whole cycle, but it is, and it's like the foundation.
So
Yeah.
there's some people out there that are in the know that are claiming a lot of the chemtrails they are admitting that they're aluminum oxide and some other metal materials, but they're put up in a kind of a higher atmosphere to protect us from a nuclear attack. Now, the way that works is you have uh, a higher altitude missile that supposedly we can take out, right? The super high altitude supposedly, and then you have the lower level ones that they can't get to us without having to ship or something. So those we can take out. But then you have the middle to upper ones. I believe that's what it is, and those are the ones that we don't have much of a defense over. So what I was told is that so what we do is we spray that part of the atmosphere up with this fine mist of aluminum and other metals. And if the nuke is heading this way, we heat the beginning of it. So by the time that with a laser, and when the nuke hits that, the nuke will self-destruct, right? If that's the case. My challenge is two things. If that's what they're saying is going on, and that's if it's a true defense of what's going on, that stuff, anything sprayed above us won't even hit us because that's gonna drift off for miles and miles, probably could hundreds, thousand miles away. Who knows? So you're not going to know where that's going to land. But that still could affect the bee population. So I would think they better think twice if that's what they're doing. That's if that's what's going on. But what I'm seeing seems to be much lower altitude cloud formation, and they see it afterwards, but they're literally creating clouds in front of our eyes, it appears.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. And I mean, I can follow the rationale behind that of what you said, but it's it's like a weak cop out view in my view, because it's
Yeah.
like, why would we don't need that? And if indeed, and I mean, I believe so, that good guys are in control, and the whole nuke option is basically not even on the table, more for just threats, but not in reality, then we don't need that spraying for that reason at all.
Now, I don't think you expected this question, but since it sounds like it's metals that we're ingesting, i- many people may not know that you have an amazing company called Ascent Nutrition, and you study this stuff deeper than anybody. So I want to ask you specifically in counteracting the heavy metals and all the stuff that we have going on, or what could be sprayed in our atmosphere. Do you have any couple products that may make sense for that to counteract it?
Yeah, definitely, Lewis. So the humic and fulvic acid,
My wife's favorite.
yes, the dirt pills,
She calls it the dirt pills. That's right.
yes, and it is God's medicine, truly, and you know that, and she knows that, and so many other people know it too. There's a famous naturopath, or a well-known one in this, and he's well aware of all this knowledge too. His name is Dr. Daniel Newsom, and he's the expert on humic and fulvic acid. His information that he's put out is where I learned a lot of this stuff, and then sort of digging and kind of finding out more from others too. But the fulvic will bind to many different heavy metals: mercury, aluminum, lead, strontium, all the really damaging ones. It will also neutralize some radioactive materials and waste. And the humic acid can render neutral, or bring to like equilibrium, some of the pesticides. Um, that's just the beginning. But for me, like, I learned about humic and fulvic acid 14 years ago, Lewis. And when I did, and I've told you this before many times, and on this show many times, but it's worth repeating, that when I learned about it, I made a commitment to myself and to God that I would get this stuff out there as much as I could. Like, I didn't even have a company at that point. Um, but knew I just need to spread the information on this, especially around cancer and relation to heavy metal detox and poisoning detox. They poison us in all these ways, but it will detox. It is fantastic. The particle size that we use is about 60 times smaller. So we actually listed 20 times smaller on our website, but I got more information, or updated information rather, recently, where it's actually 66 times smaller, the humic acid particle size, than your average size.
Wow.
So it gets in, absorbs, can bind to these heavy metals and toxins and chelate them out. And it actually works. We had a lady, we've talked about this. She had psoriasis for 30 years, took that. She did a heavy metal magnet test on her chest and torso. It stuck before taking that product. Afterwards, 30, 40 days later, she didn't do anything else. That was the only difference. and the psoriasis dried up, flaked off, completely went away. And then she did the magnet test again, and it didn't stick either spots. So that's one. We had another young girl who had psoriasis skin type things going, and she did the same stuff, take it internally and apply it topically. Cleared it up within 7 days. Lewis, her parents called me and said it's 90% gone, and she's dealing with some pretty serious skin issues. Now, how does that relate to heavy metals toxicity? Because the skin is the biggest organ typically, and it's not just one single thing. There's always, of course, multiple things, and how our genetics are activated by different nutrients or contaminants. But in general, the skin, if we're having like skin issues, it's because something's going on in the blood, where it's trying to get out of the body. The body is smart and knows we need to expel toxins. And sometimes with skin issues, it can be that. So if you clean out the blood, you cleanse out heavy metals, pollutants, all that stuff. I mean, it's an ongoing process. I take the stuff basically every day. There'll be times where I'll do more intense bouts of it to really do a heavier detox. But that is first and foremost, number one thing for sure, humic and fulvic acid.
Yeah. My wife loves it, and she keeps telling me, "You gotta take your dirt pills," and I forget, I don't do it sometimes, but you're motivating me to do it again. What I do take every day, which I love, I don't know if it has an effect, but I just love this. This is your product. I don't even know if you know I take this every single day, is
Yep.
the pine needle extract.
Thank you, Lewis. Yeah.
And I like the extract. A lot of people like the tincture. I like this because it tastes so good. So the pine needle extract's amazing, and it's weird because it's been coming across my feed on X and other things lately. A lot of people are now promoting pine needle extract, different companies, and I know yours is the best because you make sure it is. But so tell us a little bit about that. And I'm only asking because I'm so passionate about it myself.
Thank you, Lewis. So the pine needle extract comes from the eastern white pines, and that's a species called Pinus strobus. It's what we just think of as pine needle tea. You're like your average pine needle tree, or when we're talking about pine needle tea, that's generally the species, the eastern white pines, rich in shikimic acid. And if you look that up on PubMed, it's antithrombogenic, antiplatelet forming, which means that it can help to support healthy blood flow and unstick sticky blood. We know what's happened in the past several years to stick more people's blood or make it stickier. Forced injections and the chemtrails and all the crap that they've been spraying on us. It's an accumulation of all of that. The pine needle extract, because of that shikimic acid, does help the blood flow and detox. It helps these different pathways for detox. We often tell people look at both of them together, the humic and fulvic with the pine needle extract, because it will have a good synergistic effect.
And so I was reading, and I've never heard you say this, so I don't know if it's true or not. They're saying that pine needle extract can naturally increase your testosterone level, like a lot. Is that anything that you've heard about?
Yes, but it's more the pine pollen that will do that,
Okay.
because the species of the pines and what's being extracted from them are a little bit different.
So this one.
Yes, exactly, that bigger one. And that one, I mean, of course, like if people want to do it, they can look further into that. But there's many different beneficial detoxificant compounds in the pine pollen tincture as well. So we've got a bundle where it's all three: the pine pollen, the pine needle, and the humic and fulvic. But why the pine pollen? Just what you said, Lewis. It does help with testosterone production, which is also actually beneficial for women too. And you can find this in traditional Chinese medicine. So I'm not just making this up. In TCM, it's been used for thousands of years for men and women as a libido enhancer, as a energy or
Oh,
chi.
for women too?
Yes, chi.
Honey.
Build
Honey.
more chi. And it's just known as a strong adaptogen that builds energy in the body. And it does. Like, you can absolutely feel it. I will take that stuff before I work out. I'll take it before, like, let's say I go on a walk, or if I'm going to do something like mentally taxing, I'll take it before. I'll take, several of these things before interviews like this. Um, all of it is good to stack in. But the whole point is, like, we aren't here just talking about things to sell, Lewis. Like, why we're bringing these things up is because it literally relates directly to what we're talking about. These people are engaged in warfare against us, bio warfare that's psychotic, satanic, psychopathic. And yeah, we do want to talk about a few things that can help people. And so, like, this is part of what I'm doing, what you're doing. We, of course, want to offer solutions to people, because what's the point if you just know about the problem if you don't know how to actually help it?
Yep. And you can tell folks that Lance didn't know about this because he would have had pictures ready to go if I would have told him we were just going to talk about chemtrails. But then it just hit me that there's got to be a solution. In fact, I have to ask Lisa to put a link below because it may or may not be there. But folks, there will be a link below for Ascent Nutrition. Look at all of Lance's products. Just amazing. I do anything I can to support him because I know he is definitely God's angel. I've said this to his face before. I love embarrassing him with that, but he's an amazing person. He's on the right track. I know the way he investigates the products and the places he flies to make sure he vets them. If you want to make sure you get the best for a reasonable price and somebody you can trust, I don't even know all your products, Lance. There's so many, so you guys could go down, click the link below, which I'm sure will be there any moment now, and go to Ascent Nutrition and check it all out. I think you'd be very happy. Lance, anything you want to end us with?
Well, thank you, Lewis, for all of that. And you're God's angel too. And I'm not just saying that. Yeah, thank you very much. Just overall, I'm thankful where everything's at in our world. I definitely, like all of us, want it to be faster and quicker and justice served publicly ASAP. But I do believe that we're getting there. And the Pope marker and Klaus Schwab marker, that's massive. That's going to definitely be very monumental in the shift. So I think now we're like in, like, call it what you want, but just like free time or quantum time. The whole Babylonian scam system is now done and gone. So, like, we're in God's time. Like, let's have fun and create and actually build a world and defend what we are building, and make sure that none of this crap happens again.
I agree. And I end in manifested prayer. So you gave me a perfect segue for that. Lord Almighty, thank you for this wonderful platform we have to reach as many people we can with a great message. Thank you for taking care of this patriot family that is out there working so hard to bring our country and the world back to where it should be. Thank you for Lance Schuttler and his whole team. We appreciate the admins and everything. And God, we are manifesting that human trafficking is coming to an end, that the children are saved and protected, and that Trump's administration, as long as he's doing goodly, godly work, has your complete guidance and our support. In Christ's name, so be it.
Amen. Thank you, Lewis.
All right. Love you, brother.
Love you too. Thank you so much.
Forget January. The real new year begins now. When nature awakens, and so do you. It's time to rise with the earth, to renew your body, recharge your energy, and revitalize your mission. Start your ascent with a powerful trio from Ascent Nutrition. Pine Pollen Tincture, your body armor. Wild crafted by hand in the pristine mountain air of northern Canada, we use whole cell, uncracked, raw pine pollen. Packed with over 200 bioactive nutrients and powerful free radical scavengers. This tincture supports libido, endocrine balance, and vital energy. It's nature's armor for your brain, heart, hormones, and beyond. Ascent Clean Coffee, your battery charger. Made with green coffee beans and grown without pesticides. Certified mold and mycotoxin free. This single origin coffee from Guatemala has smooth notes of almond and caramel and comes in both medium and dark roasts. It's more than coffee. It's clean, pure energy for clarity, focus, and flow. Humic and fulvic acid, your Turbo Boost. Sourced from pristine U.S. soil, our formula contains particle sizes 20 times smaller than standard, ensuring optimal absorption. It supports healthy digestion, promotes natural detox, and enhances cellular communication. Fuel your microbiome, strengthen your immune system, and restore balance to your mind and body with this powerful tool for whole body vitality. This spring, don't just reset, ascend. Start your ascent today with Ascent Nutrition.
If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd work for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife.
I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, where the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. To be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me.
And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land.
God bless the USA.
God bless the USA. Am I the only one willing to bleed, or take a bullet for being free? Screaming what the hell at my TV for telling me, yeah, you're telling me that I'm the only one willing to fight for my love of the red and white and the blue. Burning on the ground, another statue coming down in a town near you. Watching the threads of old glory come undone. Am I the only one?
One day, one day, one day, oh, one day, I hope you see the truth. This puppet show stays on because of you fools. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to pay your dues. Oh God, come back home. This crazy world is filled with liars and abusers. We need you now before we're too far gone. I hope one day they finally see the truth. God, we need you now.
'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land.